Okay, so it looks like Arsenal FC are getting closer and closer to lifting a major trophy once again under Super Mikel Arteta. They've come close in the Champions League and the Premier League this year, but seem to just fall short. But they're doing something to change that, and that's all in the transfer market. Whether it's Viktor Gyökeres, Rodrygo, Eze, Christian Mosquera, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Christian Norgard, or Martin Zubimendi, Arsenal are on a rampage of signings, and they are all absolutely fantastic. So today we were looking to see if we can use all of them signings and fully realistic Mikel Arteta tactics here on Football Manager to lift the Premier League and the Champions League with the mighty Gunners. And here we are then on Football Manager in a database which has it as up to date as I could possibly get it. There's a few different positions out there, but I believe everyone that's got European football should have European football. And of course, Arsenal are in the Champions League. They were valiant challengers of Liverpool throughout this season, but just fell short. And it looks like, as I said in the intro, Arsenal are going for it in the transfer window. They have been linked to some unbelievable players. Now, I'm a Manchester United fan, and I'm gutted we're not getting Viktor Gyökeres. He quite literally scored more goals on his own last season than our entire club. But it looks like, according to Fabrizio Romano, Gyökeres is heading to the Emirates. The transfer odds on Eberechi Eze have dropped significantly in the last week, so I believe he's also heading there. And Rodrygo, by the looks of it, is looking to leave Real Madrid as he's been pushed down the pecking order. And he's not going to be a backup player, and Arsenal, again, are heavily linked. Whether they can get all of these players, I really don't know. I'm going to try on Football Manager to get them all and build a system which works while still using star players like Saka, Odegaard, and of course brand new strikers and left wingers, because there is also some people that you wouldn't expect that are on the outgoings list. Gabriel Martinelli is heavily linked to a move to Saudi Arabia, and that is going to finance a lot of Arsenal's new transfer deals. I wouldn't surprise me if they get around £100 million for him. I can't see a world where Gabriel Jesus also sticks around with all of these new signings. And due to the transfer signings of potentially Noni Madueke to Chelsea, it looks like Ethan Nwaneri could also be out the door. Now, this to me makes zero sense. It might be the worst transfer deal I have ever heard, but if Ethan Nwaneri leaves, which I think he will with all of these new incomings, it's a big change at Arsenal. Now, financially, we know they're doing pretty decent. Here on Football Manager, they have over £270 million in the balance, and in terms of their debt, well, it's just £80 million and 119 in transfer debt, which in the modern day really isn't a lot. If we are going to make all these transfer deals work, though, we're going to have to make that budget stretch. We're currently sitting on £77 million, and we need to raise a hell of a lot more. So let's see what we can do in this transfer market. I just want to say a massive thank you to you absolute legends. You probably noticed a new logo on the channel, and of course, a brand new setup, which I absolutely love, and I cannot fathom the fact that this is my actual setup. I've been dreaming of a nice, natural, United-based setup for years, and here we are. And I think it's safe to say it looks fantastic. If you like the new setup, you like the new logo, just put W rebrand in the comments down below to let me know you guys are big fans. Now, in terms of outgoings, there's been a bunch, and we kind of touched on every single player on this list that is looking to leave. Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, it looks like Tomiyasu will be out the door, Leandro Trossard, Jakub Kivior, Reece Nelson, and the £10 million transfer of Ethan Nwaneri to Manchester United. I believe they'll get probably in the region of £50-60 million for him, but of course FM isn't very good with transfers. Hence why I'm not going to really talk about the finances that we brought players for. I'm more looking to do a realistic rebuild in terms of the players. FM's finances are absolutely crazy. For example, Noni Madueke signing in from Chelsea, I had to pay 117 million, rising to 152 million to get the deal over the line, despite him costing around 50 million in real life. I hope you understand why I'm not going to be going too much in depth on the finances. It's just utterly ridiculous. Noni Madueke, for me, is such a strange signing. I'm a huge fan of Madueke. I don't know why Chelsea are selling him, other than the fact they've brought more wingers, like Bino Gittins, and there's a couple of others as well. Esteval coming in from Palmeiras, etc. It's a move. I don't see it. Saka's unbelievable. To get rid of Nwaneri and bring in Madueke blows my mind. But if that's the plan, that's the plan. And as I said, I'm here to do a fully realistic rebuild. Which then, of course, baffles my mind as how Arsenal are so heavily linked with Rodrygo from Real Madrid. This is the only signing out of the whole list of signings here that I can see not happening, but I think will happen. The rest of them, I think, are pretty much tick-boxed, guaranteed to happen. Rodrygo to Arsenal is a huge deal, a mega deal, which probably makes them favourites for the title for the next 3 seasons. £125 million. I think he's going to cost around 70 to 80 million pounds in real life. We know how good Rodrygo is, but he is going to have to adapt to being a left winger rather than a right winger, which potentially suits him more with his favourability on the right foot, because Saka's going to stay on that right-hand side. Either way, Rodrygo to Arsenal, unbelievable transfer deal. And then this is the one that I think potentially is to do with the Rodrygo deal, and why Rodrygo might not happen is the signing of Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. As I've said, the transfer odds for Eze to Arsenal have slashed in recent days, and I believe he's going there. I don't have any inside sources, I'm not ITK. Eze to Arsenal, though, is an unbelievable deal. Eze, for me, is one of the most exciting players to watch in the Premier League, and it makes Arsenal even more dangerous. To me, he's such a big upgrade on Gabriel Martinelli. But how him and Rodrygo work in the same team, I simply don't know. So don't shoot the messenger. This is just, I've done as realistic as I can get while potentially reaching with the signing of Rodrygo. Be interesting to see, squad rotation-wise, what Football Manager does. Now, in terms of a done deal in real life, we have brought in Christian Norgard to Arsenal from Brentford for the measly £40 million fee. This guy costs £10 million in real life. He's 30 years of age. He is a fantastic squad option for Arsenal. Very weird move for him, in my opinion, but I can see from Arsenal's opinion, if Zubimendi doesn't work out, Norgard is a fantastic, drop him in that option, and he works brilliantly straight away. He's Premier League proven, 30 years of age, captain material. I love the signing for Arsenal. I don't understand it from Norgard's point of view, though. And we might as well talk about Martin Zubimendi, because he has officially signed from Real Sociedad in real life, heavily linked to Liverpool and Arsenal over the last 12 months. He has picked the Gunners, and I think he's a fantastic ball-playing midfielder. In that deep-lying playmaker role, it frees up Rice and Odegaard and Eze, or whoever plays in that midfield, to go crazy, and Zubimendi, unreal signing. Another real-life one already completed. The £5 million signing of Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea has cost me £26 million here on Football Manager, and he is just absolutely fantastic as a backup goalkeeper for Arsenal. He's going to be great with David Raya. He's Premier League proven. Last season with Bournemouth, he was one of the best goalkeepers in terms of his statistics in the Premier League, and they've got him for £5 million. This is the talent that Chelsea spent £72 million on 5-6 years ago. To me, great business from Arsenal. The penultimate signing that I've made is Christian Mosquera coming in from Valencia. He is heavily linked to Arsenal. It looks like the deal is going to be done in the next coming days. Like all of these deals, I can't believe they've done so many. Another unbelievable talent, top Spanish centre-back. In FM is fantastic. In real life, even better. What a signing this is. And of course, finally, the bagsman, Viktor Gyökeres, comes into Arsenal. As mentioned, as a Manchester United fan, this hurts me a little bit. I was very much looking forward to Gyökeres potentially playing at Old Trafford next season. Turns out he will be on the opening day of the season, but for Arsenal, which is a little bit gutting. I think he is one of the best finishers in football right now. The only worry I have is that Arsenal are used to playing with the likes of Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and link-up strikers who play in false nines. Viktor Gyökeres is not that guy, and Arsenal are going to have to change how they play under Mikel Arteta. So that is why I have developed this 4-3-3 system, which is realistic to Arteta with a few differences, and we'll get into them differences as we go through the tactic. Now, this tactic and the rebuild files, with all of these signings done and the final rebuild file, where hopefully we've turned Arsenal into Champions League and Premier League winners, will all be available on the Patreon down below. So to be a massive favour, go down there, sign up as a free member, because you never know, you might get gifted a membership or win a membership in some of the giveaways we do over there, or you can get yourself there £5 a month or £3 for the specific rebuild files, and it helps support me massively. The £5 a month, you have no idea how much this helps support. Maybe be able to build setups like this and have the channel looking as fantastic it does now is mainly down to the support on Patreon. So I cannot thank you guys enough, and you want to help me out anyway, that is the best way to do so. But also on YouTube, like the video and subscribe to the channel, because around 80% of you currently aren't subscribed. Now in goal, we are playing with a sweeper keeper on support in David Raya. That's not changed, and neither has the back four. Jurriën Timber looks great after coming back from injury last season, and Alexander Zinchenko, I think, keeps his left wing back inverted role for the most of this. The other player I need to touch on, because he's not in the squad for this first season, is Miles Lewis-Skelly. Of course, had a brand new deal coming into Arsenal. On Football Manager, though, he is rubbish, which is a real shame. This really shows the need for FM26 and a database which has someone like Miles Skelly the ability to play at left back, because he can't even do that, and upgrade his stats massively. He's been unreal for Arsenal. Arsenal fans, I'm sorry, Skelly is kind of not too much in this rebuild. He comes in the second season as a backup left back, but other than that, Lewis Skelly, you would have to imagine Zinchenko is basically him. But anyway, back to the tactic. We have Gabriel and Saliba both on stay wider. Number 1 to cover Timber as he goes forward. Number 2 to cover Zinchenko as he drifts inside, while Zubimendi as a deep line playmaker and defend will sit in the middle and make a nice back three. Now just in front of that, we have got Declan Rice as a box-to-box midfielder. Dribble more, get further forward, tackle harder. He was influential in Arsenal's run to the Champions League last season. And of course, Martin Odegaard will take more risks in that Metzala on support. Now, Odegaard is a player that I would like to get a lot more out of in this rebuild in particular, because in real life, I do think he's fallen by the wayside a little bit. He's not been good enough, but I think that might change with a few of these more creative players coming in and helping him out. Of course, Bukayo Saka on the right side, inside forward and attack, roam from position, sit narrower, with Rodrygo inside forward on support with stay wider, which allows Viktor Gyökeres to stay as an advanced forward on attack, still roaming, tackling harder, but as an advanced forward. If this was how Arteta was playing with the likes of Kai Havertz and Gabby Jesus, etc., you'd either have a complete forward on support, potentially a false 9, definitely not an advanced forward on attack. So this is a huge tactical difference, the way Arsenal play. And I do think it could hamper them a little bit. I love the signing of Gyökeres, but there is going to be a shift in how Arsenal play. They are going to lose a link-up striker from not having the likes of Kai Havertz there. It wouldn't surprise me to still see Kai Havertz start 20, 25 games next season in that striker role, and Gyökeres more plays the game that they're looking to counter-attack or dominate. I think Gyökeres is going to be great, but them games that have got to be tight in possession and got to keep the ball, it really wouldn't surprise me to see him taken out. And that's why I think Arsenal have done so well with their squad depth and rotation. I mean, in the defence, you still have the likes of Caliafori, Ben White, Christian Mosquera. In midfield, you've got Norgard, you've got Mikel Merino, and you've got Eberechi Eze. In attack, it is kind of a little bit light. We've got Kai Havertz, and Eze can fill in that role as well. Other than that, I haven't really gone too big on signings, and that's maybe something that Arsenal need to think about in real life, is if Saka gets injured, of course you can move Rodrygo over to the right and bring in Eberechi Eze. If Rodrygo's also injured, well, you've got Noni Madueke as well, haven't you, actually? Yeah, Arsenal were fine. I mean, I've just taken Saka and Rodrygo out, and you'd still think this would win the Premier League, this team. Gyökeres is a fantastic striker. Rodrygo can play there. Kai Havertz can play there. I mean, for God's sake, Mikel Merino can play there if he needs to. They've got so many options. Their squad rotation is ridiculous. I think if Arsenal do all of these deals and they don't win the Premier League, I will be gobsmacked. This is going to be possibly one of the best teams we've seen in the Premier League in quite some time. And I'm excited to see how this does on Football Manager, because sometimes on FM, too many big name players cannot work. It's not always the key to success. Now, of course, this year, Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, in terms of the media preview, we are still third place behind City and Liverpool, Arsenal in third. As I said, I think if Arsenal make these signings, they are the best team in the league. I think City probably the third best, Liverpool probably the second best, United up in fourth. Yeah, we're definitely not the fourth best side, so take this with a pinch of salt. Let's get into it though. I'm very excited to see what we can do with this Arsenal side and see how many goals we can score with these ridiculous attackers. Now, we kicked off our Premier League campaign in some very decent form, and the new signings, they hit the ground running. You can see Rodrygo there starting this game on the right wing, eventually finding Merino to find Gyökeres for his first against Aston Villa here. A lovely move finds Odegaard, finding Gyökeres in behind once again for 2-0. And you can see from both the goals from Gyökeres so far, he's that fox in the box character. He's not linking up play. He's playing on the last man and he's getting on the end of crosses. There, a great finish from Mikel Merino makes it 3. And we are going to grab a 4th as well. Gyökeres and Arsenal can press. And there he is on the last man. Turn, bang. 4-0, a hat-trick, and a complete demolition of Aston Villa in the first part of the season. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for the Gunners. We did beat Fulham and Brighton to kick off the season, but then lost to Bournemouth, beat Leeds 5-0, but drew to City, then lost to Liverpool, and lost to Brentford. Of course, we turned our form around with that 4-0 victory over Villa and a win against Crystal Palace, but it wasn't plain sailing for these new stars. In fact, we currently sit down in 6th place in the Premier League, already 8 points away from Liverpool. Now, what I'll say early on is we have played City and Liverpool already, and that's 2 of the biggest games of our season done. From here, we can concentrate on building some form and improving as a side with this tactic, because remember, this tactic is brand new to Arsenal. They do not normally play with a striker off the last man. There's normally link-up play, there's normally players making inverted runs, etc. Some of that has gone. Now, in terms of the goal scorers, it doesn't mean Viktor Gyökeres isn't banging in the goals. He has 6 and 1 assist in 10 games. Kai Havertz as the rotation striker, doing exactly what we want. 3 starts, 8 off the bench, 6 goals. Bukayo Saka, 8 goal contributions. Mendy with 2, Mourinho with 3, and Rodrygo with 3 goal contributions in 9 games. Hasn't smashed it. He's on a 6.73, but at least he's starting games and he's playing well and he's building up to be in that form. Now, something we can see is a lot of squad rotation. But Eberechi Eze, Christian Mosquera, Kepa Arrizabalaga and Norgard are all heavy rotation players quite down the pecking order. Madueke seems to get off the bench a little bit more regularly with 6 off the bench so far and 2 starts, but Eze just 4 off the bench and 2 starts. So interesting to see with all of these new signings, it's not all rosy. As I said, sometimes too many chefs can spoil the broth. And that seems to be potentially happening here at Arsenal. But we now jump into the midpoint of the season and things have turned around. The team have learned the tactics, the goals are flowing, and defensively we are incredible. You can see throughout the month of December, we can see that just 1 goal while scoring 20-ish goals, and the goals were coming from everywhere. We saw Eze get his first goal for Arsenal, home against Burnley, and a fantastic finish playing off that left-hand side. Rodrygo was getting more and more involved as the day goes and playing off that left wing with a new position to learn. He was bagging goals. And even Noni Madueke had managed to start off his goal-scoring form. The goals weren't just coming from the striker positions, they were coming from everywhere. Which is fantastic to see, because Arsenal have never been a team where you have one standout striker and no one else scores goals. We've got the likes of Gyökeres, Havertz, Saka, Rodrygo, Madueke, Zinchenko, Mourinho, Odegaard, all grabbing goals, and Odegaard in that Mazzala role has really come into his own. The club captain now has 11 assists and 2 goals in 22 games and is proving himself to be the real leader of this Arsenal team as we push on in the Premier League and close the gap to the front. We are now 2nd in the table, joint 2nd with Manchester City, but 3 points behind Liverpool. Viktor Gyökeres, top goal scorer on 13. Saka, top average rating. Saka, top player of the matches. David Raya, joint 3rd in clean sheets. Odegaard and Saka, top 2 in assists. Things are going well. Things are clicking into place. And we are on some fantastic form. And it's not just in the Premier League as well, because Arsenal were great in the Champions League last season in real life, but fell just short. Well, here we are in the top 8 behind the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City, but ahead of previous winners PSG. So hopefully we can make it deep in this competition as well. Now, despite a very healthy overall balance, there is no shock. I am doing no transfer business in January because I think it's safe to say we've got enough rotation. And honestly, for season 2, I'm not too sure what we're going to do in terms of transfers. I'll make a couple, I imagine, but I do believe the Arsenal team we have built here and with the realistic signings they are looking to make in real life, this is enough to challenge. If you can't win the Premier League with this squad, I'm not sure they're ever going to again, because this team is fantastic, and if Arteta can adapt to having that traditional number 9, that big powerful man, rather than the link-up, they're going to be unstoppable. And Arsenal fans, I genuinely hope you do it, because my club's not going to do it anytime soon. I can't stand seeing Liverpool do 21, and I can't stand seeing City get back to the top. Arsenal, you're pretty much my only hope at this rate, so go and make all these signings, and please win the league. And it was in early February where we realised that Manchester City were not going to be in the title race, because at the Emirates, we put on an absolute show. Bukayo Saka grabbing the first goal in this game, linking up with Ben White down the right-hand side. The second, a ball in the box, he drops to Rodrygo, and an outrageous effort into the bottom corner for 2-0 in the 65th minute. Havertz links up with Bukayo Saka. Havertz dropping back now into that central midfield role. The ball falls to Viktor Gyökeres in the box, and as a fox in the box, he puts it home. You never guess what? Another goal starting from a throw-in. Classic FM24. To be fair, great link-up play from Gyökeres finds Declan Rice on the edge of the box in a 4-0 demolition of Manchester City. But sadly for us, Liverpool were just too good this season. They beat us 2-1 at Anfield, and a goal scorer there of Diogo Jota. I want to take this opportunity to say rest in peace to Diogo Jota. Absolutely tragic story. The husband, the father, the man is the important thing here. It's pretty cool to see like an homage to him on FM here in this rebuild with Jota scoring. I just want to say rest in peace, and yeah, an absolutely tragic story. Here in the Champions League, we managed to finish in the top 5 in the league phase, just behind the likes of Madrid, Liverpool, Bayern and Manchester City, but ahead of PSG, Napoli, Athletic Bilbao, and most importantly, not in the second 8. We are in the top 8, which means we skip the knockout playoff round. And in the round of 16, we've been drawn up against Celtic, a game that I really expect to win. If not, we will become a very big meme club. Because this year it's the Champions League or the FA Cup in terms of our trophies. We are 9 points behind Liverpool, and I don't think we're going to be able to catch them. There is just 10 games left to go. We have got a game in hand on them, but still a 6-point deficit is going to be tough to do, especially Liverpool get into this form. They haven't got the trickiest end to the season as well. And you just know Spurs are going to throw that game, so Liverpool win the league and Arsenal don't. So sadly, I do think the Premier League is out of reach. So our attention turns to trying to lift another competition. And here in the FA Cup final, we were drawn up against Spurs. And it's only Spurs, lads. Yes, I'm saying that as a United fan. Gyökeres scores in 4 minutes, and in the 82nd, Gabriel scores a back post header to make it 2-0, and we lift the FA Cup in a final against Spurs. A North London clash in the FA Cup. What a story, and what a trophy to lift as well. But that wasn't the only trophy we were looking to lift. It wasn't going to be the Premier League. The season was done on 81 points in 38 games, 9 points behind Liverpool, who just had a simply fantastic season. But in the Champions League, we were simply fantastic, and we got all the way to the semi-finals. We faced up against Bayern Munich, and we were looking to take that next step to make the final. And we done that against Bayern in a 4-1 victory on aggregate, an absolute demolition as Odegaard grabbed the final goal. And the team would be facing was Manchester City, who have had a pretty decent run themselves, beating PSG 4-2 in the semi-finals. They're a club which finished 1 point behind us in the Premier League. They obviously are playing a 4-3-3 system under Pep Guardiola. Our system, very similar to that of the likes of Pep. Now with Haaland up front, we've got Gyökeres. A very, very similar system. It's going to be a very tight, cagey game, and it'll be awesome to lift an FA Cup and a Champions League, and the next season for Season 3, see if we can get the consistency right with Arsenal and finally lift another Premier League trophy. But that was all just too good to be true, because the big Norwegian Erling Haaland is just different gravy here on Football Manager, and a 1v1 game in the Champions League final. He showed up, scored 2 goals, and Manchester City beat us in the final of the Champions League. So the second season, we need to win the Premier League, but also we need to get redemption, and we need to lift that Premier League and Champions League trophy. Now, as I've kind of alluded to, transfers-wise, I'm not going to be going absolutely crazy. Arsenal have spent, well, we have spent with Arsenal some crazy money to build this fantastic team, which has just had a very good season. Gyökeres in the Premier League, 25 goals, 6 assists. Havertz, 24. Saka, 44 goal contributions. Rodrygo, 38. Marino, Odegaard, Madueke, Eberechi Eze as well, doing fairly decent in the games he played. All doing really well, and I do think the new signings have made a massive difference. Norgard, when he played, was simply fantastic. Rodrygo got up to speed on a 7.07. Mosquera as the backup centre-back to Gabriel and Saliba, done really well in a 7.03. Eze, when he played, a 6.96. Gyökeres, a 6.95. Madueke, a 6.94. And even Kepa, a 6.9. So the new signings, and to be fair, the whole squad performed very, very well. I just think there's a few issues in squad rotation which we're going to fix, and maybe a few younger players to come into the side as rotational options, and then we're there. We surely lift the Premier League. Now, transfers-wise this season, we have toned things down quite a fair bit, but we have made some new big signings. Number one, an inverted wing-back on the left in Andrea Cambiasso, heavily linked to Manchester City before they signed Ryan Aït-Nouri. I can see Cambiasso staying at Juve and then joining Arsenal next summer as they look to invest in that left wing-back role. Past that, we signed one of the best young centre-backs in the game here in Viktor Gyökeres. He is currently at AZ Alkmaar in real life, has been on loan to Wrexham here on FM, performed very well in the Championship, and I think this is something quite realistic. A player that's coming from abroad to the Championship, smashed it, pick him up for £17.5 million as a fourth choice centre-back. He's only 21 and looks very good. And finally, the signing of Eberechi Eze has come in to a backup left wing position to come in and rotate. And we'll get into that in just a minute's time. For me, this guy is a fantastic wonder kid in real life. Has cost me £42 million and can also play in the cam role on the right or play deep as like a rotation with Martin Odegaard. Now, the reason that I've made that signing is that I have made Eze the official rotation to Odegaard with Benzema and Madueke as the official winger replacements for Saka and Rodrygo. I like to build my squads out with a backup 11 and a first team 11, and that's how I came up on the signings that we made today. The backup centre-back in Goers, we only had 3. The backup left winger in Segir, we needed another winger. And the other signing was Cambiasso. We have sold Alexander Zinchenko, and he is here now as our inverted wing-back on the left. As I said, the team isn't too different right here, but I do think it's a very strong side. And with a year of getting used to each other, as we can see from all the lovely green lines, I think we're now ready. I think this team is ready to go and challenge for every single competition. I thought that last season. I think it even more this year. And this time as well, Skelly is involved in the first team a bit more. He did play 4 games last season, mainly in non-competitive games, but played 4 league games and 1 cup game and got an assist at a 7.1. We did see that in the highlights. We are training him to be a left inverted wing-back. It's going to take some time. I don't know how well he's going to progress in that role, but hopefully throughout this season, we do see him touch the field a bit more. Now, in terms of the media preview and the prediction for this Premier League campaign, well, Arsenal are predicted 3rd once again behind City and Liverpool, and United dropped to 6th. So this should be fun, and hopefully we're going to be good enough to challenge on all fronts this season. I'll be extremely disappointed if we aren't able to. If I can ask you guys once again just to smash that like button on the video, and if you are a Gunners fan and you have already commented saying W rebrand, which I hope you have, if you're an Arsenal fan as well, do another comment with a red and white circle just to show me Arsenal fans are here still now we're into the 2nd season. It helps support the algorithm, it helps support me, and I know you Gunners fans like a little competition. Now, in a very similar fashion to last year, we started off this season in outrageous goal scoring form, and lucky enough for us, this game was against West Ham United, and it kicked off the season just 15 seconds in with Gyökeres scoring. So we know he's been back this season bagging goals. Number 2 was by that man Saka from the spot. We then see Saka get so much space on that right hand side to make it 3 before the half-time whistle. But we wanted more. Odegaard with the free kick, bending it into the top corner past Areola for 4-0 in 53. Odegaard with the free kick, back stick, whipped in. Gabriel, mountainous man, makes it 5-0. In the 68th minute, Cambiasso and Zubimendi link up. Rodrygo to the left-hand side, beats his man, cuts it back to Rice, finds Odegaard for another outrageous finish for 6-0. And we capped the game off, a 7-0 demolition of West Ham United, with Declan Rice finding Viktor Gyökeres in behind. I think it is safe to say this tactic is officially absolutely cooking, and you guys need to get yourself this tactic. And here at the midway point in the season, we hadn't showed many signs of slowing down. We had only had 2 losses all the way up to the 1st of January, which finished off with a 5-1 victory over Newcastle. We also beat Forest 5-0, put 4 past Everton, 3 past Brighton, 5 past Manchester United, and even beat the likes of Manchester City. And the big difference this season is grabbing the points against Liverpool, which meant that as things stand, 20 games into the title, we were on 46 points, on track for a 90-plus point finish, and looking to try and lift the title this season. Spurs were our closest challengers, Liverpool in 3rd, Villa in 4th, City in 10th. No idea what's happened to them. They have completely dropped off. But once again, in terms of the player stats, we are dominating. Gyökeres, Saka, Odegaard, Saka, David Raya, Odegaard. We are unbelievable. And Odegaard this season has really stepped up. 15 assists and 9 goals in 20 games. This is what Arsenal fans and I am looking for in Martin Odegaard in this rebuild. Interestingly enough, here he's been replaced as captain by Declan Rice, which I think is a very controversial move, but one I don't mind. Declan Rice is captain of Arsenal after bagging 7 past West Ham. I'm sure West Ham fans have already clicked off this video now. But we are firing on all fronts. We're in the top 8 of the Champions League. We got to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup before losing to Liverpool. And of course, are starting off our FA Cup campaign as well. But things this season really are going very well. Gyökeres, Saka, Odegaard, Havertz, Madueke, Saliba, Declan Rice, Gabriel, Ben Shaqir, Mosquera, Zubimendi, Mourinho, all performing very well. Eze isn't performing great, isn't getting too much game time, and Rodrygo has slipped off a little bit on his form from last season. Madueke, though, has improved, so the rotation is going well, and I think it's safe to say we have built a little bit of a dynasty here. And here at the start of March, it is a very similar story. We have just scraped past AC Milan on penalties in the round of 16 and set up a quarter-final tie, which will be very, very interesting. But good to see that we have got through in that one. Hopefully, we can make it back-to-back finals. And in the Premier League, we are still top of the table, just 5 points ahead of Liverpool, but they have a game in hand, probably going to be 2 points, 8 games to go. That is scary. Palace are the third best team, which is interesting. A great rise from them, despite us taking their star player. They've just done really, really well under Oli Glasner. Haven't made too many crazy signings, just performing so well in the match engine, which is cool to see. Us buying their best player and them still doing bits is pretty awesome. So fair play to Palace. We've now just got to carry this on to the end of the season. Lift the Premier League and lift the Champions League. That is the goal this year. And well, of course, as soon as we get back into the Premier League campaign, we have the worst month of April ever. We drew to Brentford, drew to Villa, lost to Spurs, lost to City. But luckily, we beat our Liverpool at Anfield, beat Fulham 5-0, beat Forest 3-0, and beat Leeds 4-1 on the final day. And Liverpool somehow had even worse of a downfall as they finish in 3rd place, which is shocking, and Palace go down to finish in 8th. Liverpool at the final bit of the season absolutely crumbled. Their form was crazy good and then just completely fumbled the bag. I mean, you can see one thing here. The semi-finals of the Champions League, where we faced them and battered them 5-0. A brace from Gyökeres, a goal from Saka, a goal from Gabriel, a goal from Havertz, a 7-1 victory overall. And Liverpool just completely fell off, still under the management of Arne Slot, just dropped off. And it means that we're in the final of the Champions League and we've won the Premier League. And the final wasn't as interesting as the semis. A simple 1-0 victory, a Martin Odegaard free kick, and Arsenal were winners of the Champions League and Premier League in the same season. What a fantastic year, and what a bunch of performances from these players as well. Odegaard, 36 goal contributions. Gyökeres, 33 goals. Saka, 36 goal contributions. Havertz with 23. Madueke, 12 goals, 5 assists. Good to see him doing bits. Interesting because he was one of the signings I wasn't too sure of. Rodrygo, only 10 goal contributions. Shaqir, only 2. And Eze, only 3. So certainly some signings that have worked out and some that haven't. Arsenal fans, are you excited for this mental transfer window? I would be if I was a United fan, so I bet you are. I hope you enjoyed this realistic rebuild of Arsenal. Interesting. Rodrygo and Eze, 2 players fighting it out. Didn't know which one to sign. Signed both, and both were fairly mid. Arsenal fans, maybe it's because you've already got Noni Madueke coming in and he's going to be the star. Thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next time.